Hi everybody, it's Mr. Fossa with one more lesson. This week we're going to focus on abstract artwork, where artists use shapes and colors and lines to express themselves in a way that can be a little bit more fun than working from reality. Both for the artist and also for the people looking at it. Like you saw in the slideshow, looking at a piece of abstract work, it's kind of fun because you bring your own experience and imagination to it, and there's just a lot more to see. So when you're working, the goal is to see, can you use shapes and colors and lines in an interesting way, not to worry so much about trying to make something look like it's true to life. This is a skill, being able to abstract shapes. It's not something we're born being good at. That's kind of the thing with skills. Nobody's really good at them at first. But the other thing about skills is that the more we practice them, the better we get. So if we were in class together, the first thing I would encourage you to do is practice a little bit this idea of creating abstract shapes, or abstracting, we would say. So I put that example of the beach on that slideshow for you, and what I asked everyone to do is to just make a list. Just think about things that come to your mind when you think about the beach. And it could be like my list, or it could be your own list, but spending a little bit of time coming up with some ideas like that is important. And then what you'd want to do is think, okay, well, how can I take some of the things from my list and create shapes to represent them? So, for example, if I pick waves, it's not like I'm drawing like a cartoon of waves. It's not like that. It's more that I'm just trying to think of some kind of shapes that when I draw them, they can, in my mind, kind of remind me of waves. So it doesn't have to be like a cartoony type of thing. It's more just some shapes. Remember the different ways we abstract. So let's say if like a lifeguard tower was on my list, and I made my lifeguard tower like this, kind of crooked on purpose, not because I can't draw straight lines, but because I'm doing this, really on purpose. How did I abstract this? Did I simplify it? Did I exaggerate it? Or did I distort it? And if you said distort, you'd be right, because the lifeguard tower is really rectangular, but in my drawing, I've twisted the shape of it a little bit. I'm thinking about something else on my list. There's sand at the beach, right? So if I were to go like this, draw these shapes, that's my abstracted sand, So you think like, did I exaggerate the sand? Did I distort the sand? Did I simplify the sand? And if you say simplify, you're right, because instead of drawing the billions of grains of sand, I just drew a couple of dots to sort of represent or symbolize the sand. That's one way you could do that. I had a beach ball on my list, and what I could do, is I could go like this, right, and draw this gigantic beach ball. What I'm doing is I'm exaggerating the beach ball, right? I'm making it super large, like larger than life. Or I could draw the beach ball in a shape that's not shaped like a ball. That would be more like distorting the beach ball. There's all these different ways we can do it. It's really a good idea to take a few minutes to just look at your list, whatever your list looks like. Maybe it's like mine, or maybe it's not. And just practice some different ways to create abstract shapes. I think the trickiest thing that I'd like to kind of like encourage you to stay away from is cartooning. So like, for example, I see crabs. When we go to the beach, we like to try to find crabs hiding under the rocks. And it's kind of like, I guess it would be tempting to try to draw sort of a, like a cartoony crab, right? Like this with these, I'm basically drawing a cartoon crab. That's not really what abstracting is about. Like, abstracting is more about like finding some way to symbolize the crab or change the crab in some way. So, for example, my abstract, crab might be this, right? Because when I think like what makes a crab, to me it's the claw. So I don't need the whole crab, and I'm not trying to make a cartoon of a crab or anything like that. I'm just thinking of some like part of the crab, a symbol for a crab, like something like that. So, for example, if you see people at the beach, we're not trying to draw, stick figures. That's not really how we abstract, and we're not trying to draw like a cartoon face. That's not really abstract either. Those are just like sort of cartoony things we do. But instead, this might be like, for example, if this is a beach chair, this might be a person. This is your grandmother sitting on the chair, and here's your cousin sitting on the chair, and they're just blobs, right? But that's kind of the thing about abstract shapes. Remember, is that they can be just blobs, and they represent people or other kinds of objects. So spend some time doing that. Take a break, pause the video, spend some time just creating abstract shapes just for practice. I think it's a really good way to spend some time. And then once you've done that, so we'll say you've taken a break, you've practiced a little bit, you've tried some out. The next thing to do is to think like, how can I make this into a finished piece of artwork? And what Mrs. Ferguson and I were talking about was how, here we've been, working together online for, 7 or 8 weeks. And it might be kind of interesting to create a piece of artwork that just is related to that somehow. And that's the most interesting thing with abstract art, is if it's something personal or interesting to the artist, him or herself. So, maybe you're thinking, okay, like what are you looking forward to doing once school's over? What are you looking forward to doing in the summer? When you look back on what you've been doing for the last, 10 weeks, like what has this been like for you learning from home, and or any topic like that that's interesting. Like, I would just encourage you to pick a topic. What it's been like learning from home, I think, is a really good topic. What you're looking forward to in the summer is a really good topic. What you miss, something like that just would be some interesting thing to inspire you. And then start the same way we did with the beach. The first thing to do is just to make a list. So like if I'm thinking about, okay, what's it been like learning from home for us? Well, we've spent a lot of time cooking. We've been cooking every meal together. We've been playing with our dogs a lot, which is really great because sometimes they're at home alone. We've been gardening a lot. I'm just making a list really fast. We've been playing cards a lot. We've been going for walks. Like, I'm just making a list of stuff, and I would just kind of keep going. Then what I want to do is I want to take each one of those things and think, like, how could I create abstract shapes? Like, you maybe can hear my dogs barking in the background. I'm not sure, but so instead of drawing a cartoon of a dog, right? I'm not going to go like this and draw like my cartoony dog. What I'm trying to think is like what's a way that I could create an abstract shape to represent the dog? Could I distort the dog? Could I exaggerate the dog? Could I simplify the dog? And maybe I'm thinking about something like, for example, just the dog's tail. That might be a really good symbol for the dog. My dog, when we put her on a leash in the yard, what she likes to do is just run around it and around it and around it like she's a tetherball, until finally, she's can't go around anymore. That might be my symbol for my dog. I'm just thinking some way to represent my dog instead of trying to draw a cartoony dog. Like, that's the whole point of what you're trying to do today. So that's the next step. You make a list. Try to find some ways you can just kind of doodle on a piece of paper, just like you saw me do, just kind of doodling some shapes. And then the final step is to take all those doodles and to think, like, how can I make this into a piece of artwork? What I would say would be kind of like a common mistake, I would say, would be students like to do things like this. Like, you'd say, well, we've been playing a lot of cards on this, these last 10 weeks. I've been playing with my dog a lot these last 10 weeks. I've been cooking a lot these last 10 weeks. And so what we have is this kind of like some random shapes. But notice that no matter how good of a job you did with the abstracting, it's not a very interesting piece of artwork because I have all this paper. The shapes don't look like they're even connected or interacting with each other at all. They just look like 3 sort of boring random shapes. We want to make it into a piece of artwork. So, for example, this is the same thing. What I did was I said, okay, we've been playing a lot of cards. So I drew, what to me are these distorted cards, right? They're a little bit crooked. They're not rectangular like real ones. We've been doing a lot of cooking, and I don't need to draw all these foods, but what I did was I just kind of made a basic shape and some blobs, to represent food that we've been cooking and eating. And you can probably guess what this is. This is my dog's tail. We've also been swimming in the pool a lot. And notice I didn't draw the pool. I didn't draw people swimming in the pool. I just drew a bunch of wave shapes to represent the pool. And you can see that because the shapes are overlapping, because they're some are large and some are smaller and seem to be in the distance, some seem to be more in the front, because the shapes go off the paper, like all the things we've talked about in our other lessons, with still lifes and landscapes and those things really matter too. And I want to point out, just one more time, like, we're not trying to make a scene, right? So notice that I didn't go like this. I didn't draw like water and then a table, with me playing cards at the table and my dog standing here at the edge of the pool. It's not like we're trying to draw a landscape right now. We're drawing just some shapes. So, can water be in the sky? Yeah. Can things be crooked and upside down. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like an actual scene. It's kind of important to think that through. Hopefully this is a lot of fun. Like, it's probably hard. Like, it's probably difficult to do because it's not something you're used to. Remember, the more we do it, the better we get. But have some fun. Try it a few times. You might find that the first topic you explore turns out it's not that interesting. Maybe you want to pick a second topic or a third one until you finally find one that really inspires you. And just have some fun. This might be a really neat piece of artwork to keep for a long time. I don't know what kind of supplies you have at home. So, just working with pencil or marker or colored pencil or something at first is great. When you go to add color, I just want to point out that adding color is a nice way to create mood and feeling, and you don't have to stay true to life. So even though water really is blue, I can color my water, green or pink if I feel like it. I can make my dog's tail blue, even though my dog is not blue. I can change any of those things, and the color is a really fun way to do that. If you don't have coloring tools and just some shading and that is the way you finish yours off, that could be great too. Have some fun with it, and post it online, so on the Google Classroom, so I can see what you're doing. Have a great time with this, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.